Hey there, it's Steve with Sifted Code. I'm excited to introduce my new channel where I will create tutorials based around coding and web design. Today, what I got for you is a way for you to host your own web server at home, which will help avoid those pesky web hosting fees. All right, let's get into it. All right, so the very first thing you're going to want to do is head on over to Amazon and make sure you pick up a Raspberry Pi. I'm going to go with the 8 gig model. I'm going to go with the 4. That'll get you up and going. Then once you have your Raspberry Pi, go ahead and put your SD card into your computer and you're going to download the Raspberry Pi software. What we need here is this Raspberry Pi imager. Go ahead and download it. You're going to go ahead and install it. Go ahead and choose your device. I want to go with the Raspberry Pi 4 because that's what I got. Choose the OS. Now we're not going to choose these first three. We're going to go ahead and choose Other and choose the first one, which has no desktop environment, which is better for resources when you're hosting a web server. Choose your storage device. Hit Next. You are going to go ahead and hit Edit Settings. Go ahead and type in your host name, set a username and password. If you want to, you can go ahead and configure your Wi-Fi. I'm running straight from an Ethernet cord, so I'm not going to do that. Services, make sure you enable SSH and use password authentication. Options I just leave as default. Save. And you're going to make sure you hit yes. Yes again. And it's going to take some time to write that. Well, that's right. And let's go ahead and set up a couple other things. First, we're going to need to get a domain name. I like to use namecheap.com. I already paid for one, so I'm just going to show you the process. So you go ahead and get your host name, add it to your cart. Once you're in your cart, this is very important. Make sure you choose this premium DNS option. What that's going to allow us to do is, let's say my router rebooted in the middle of the night, and for some reason my IP address changed. It's going to go ahead and allow the website to still operate if I were to just type in the web address. Okay, you're going to go ahead and pay for that. Once you're logged in, it's going to basically take you to your dashboard. Go ahead and click Manage. And then we're going to go to Advanced DNS. There's two records here that we're going to want. The A+ dynamic DNS record, the @ and the www. We're going to want to enter our public IP address right here. The way that you find that out is whatismyip.com, and your public IP is listed right there for you. So you just go ahead and copy that. You're going to want to make sure that you save all changes. And there's also another step here, dynamic DNS. Go ahead and turn that on. And you're all set up as far as your hosting provider goes. Now we're going to head over to our router website, our router web page, excuse me. Mine's AT&T, so it's a little bit slower. All right, I'm going to go ahead and manage custom services. I'm just going to put Webserver 80, port 80. Set it to TCP. Now we're going to do one for 443. Then once those are set up, I have to choose what device is going to be using that. So we need to wait until our Raspberry Pi is done. Mine's just verifying right now, so it should be done in just a little bit. All right, so that's done. So you are now allowed to remove the SD card from the reader. We're going to go ahead and pop it in our Raspberry Pi, and it's going to install the software on the device. All right, once your Raspberry Pi boots, it's going to bring it to a login screen. Now we're going to head back over to Windows and do everything pretty much from there. So we need to SSH into it with the username and password that we set up, just like this. Okay, we are logged in. All right, we're going to run a couple of commands here. We're going to do an update. Takes just a little bit to complete that. All right, and now we are going to do an upgrade. While we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and finish setting up our router. So I have my 443, and I have my 80. Notice this is the host name that I chose from before. Let's head back over to our command prompt, and we are still upgrading. All right, our upgrade should be complete. It is. Let's go ahead and install Apache. All right, we now have our Apache installed. Let's go ahead and install some proxy stuff. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start our Apache client. And we have to enable it. All right, so what we have now is if we go to our IP address, you'll have the Apache page up and running. Notice this isn't our public IP yet. Now we need to install a DD client in order to get that to work. So let's get into it. So now we're going to install. Our DD client is installed, so now we have to set this up correctly. I'm using Namecheap, so I'm going to go ahead and go to Other. Choose Namecheap. Username is going to be the username that you registered with on the website. Same with the password. We're going to do web-based. And now it wants us to enter our domain name. Okay, so we successfully have set everything up. I'm going to go ahead for safe measures and just restart my Apache. Simplest way for me to do that would be to actually turn off my Raspberry Pi and just turn it back on. That way everything kind of just is fresh from there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to SSH back into our device. Okay, we are back in. All right, so let's go ahead and test it. I'm going to type in my public IP. There, everything's working great there. All right, and then if you'll notice, we have this not secure right up here in the corner. So we need to go ahead and install our SSL certificate. Fairly simple process. We'll teach you how to go ahead and do that. We're going to install certbot. Okay, so now that we have certbot installed, we're going to go ahead and generate a certificate for it. It's going to make you enter an email address. Agree to the terms of service. Enter your domain name. Now we've successfully deployed an SSL certificate. However, you did notice that I didn't type in the www dot. So there's two ways that we're going to do this. We're going to do this without the www dot, and we're going to do it with it. So I'll show you how to get that done as well. All right. So a couple of commands here. Obviously, you're going to replace these domain names with your own. That's it. What that's going to do is it'll get us a certificate for both. You're going to go ahead and choose expand. Now it says cannot bind because the port is being used. So pretty simple fix. Let's go ahead and cancel that command for now. We're going to sudo service Apache 2 stop. What that's going to do is it's going to stop our web server. Let's go ahead and run that command again to get our certs for the website. Expand. And now we are done. We have an SSL configured for both. Now we're going to go ahead and start our Apache 2 backup. And that's it. We are officially done. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. Let me know if there's any tutorials that you'd like to see. I will continue this for the part 2, or we can go ahead and add some files.